The law applies to citizens, not to those who enforce it. Those words echo through Providence Municipal Court. They came from the mouth of a man who should know better. A man who swore an oath. A man wearing a badge for 31 years. His name is Dennis Caldwell. He's 54 years old. He's the police chief of Riverside County. Today, he sits in Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, and he's about to learn that nobody is above the law. If you believe that justice should apply to everyone equally, no matter their badge or title, you'll want to see what happens next. The bailiff stands tall. His voice cuts through the quiet courtroom. Case number 2025, TR 94512. The State versus Dennis Caldwell. Charges include reckless driving, leaving the scene of an accident, intimidation of a witness, and attempted obstruction of justice. People in the gallery sit up straight. This isn't a normal traffic case. This is serious. Judge Caprio looks down at the papers on his bench. His reading glasses sit on his nose. He's seen thousands of cases in his career. But this one is different. This one involves a man who spent his life enforcing laws. Now he's accused of breaking them. Mr. Caldwell, please approach the bench, Judge Caprio says. His voice is calm, professional, the way it always is. But before Dennis Caldwell stands up, another person rises from a gallery. Her name is Rosa Delgado. She's 41 years old. She's a school bus driver. She's been driving buses for 19 years. 5 days a week, she drives 47 children to and from Washington Elementary School. She wakes up at 4:30 every morning. She makes breakfast for her 3 kids. Then she leaves her house at 5:45 to start her route. Rosa's hands shake as she walks to the front of the courtroom. She carries a manila folder. Inside are medical bills, doctor's reports, photos of injuries. She didn't want to be here today. She's terrified, but she's also determined. Rosa takes her seat in the witness section. Her lawyer, a young public defender named Michelle Torres, sits beside her. Michelle graduated law school 2 years ago. This is the biggest case she's ever handled. Her heart pounds in her chest. Now Dennis Caldwell stands. He's a big man, 6 feet 2 inches tall, broad shoulders, a thick neck. He's wearing his full police uniform. The dark blue fabric is pressed and clean. Silver stars shine on his collar. 4 of them. Chief of Police. His badge catches the courtroom lights. It gleams like gold. Dennis walks to the front. His boots click on the floor. Each step is heavy, purposeful. He doesn't look at Rosa. He doesn't acknowledge her at all. His face shows nothing. No worry. No fear. Just cold confidence. A lawyer follows him. The man's name is Arthur Brennan. He's 63 years old. He's one of the most expensive defense attorneys in the state. His suit costs $4,000. His tie is silk. His cufflinks are platinum. Arthur has defended politicians, businessmen, and celebrities. He rarely loses. Mr. Caldwell, Judge Caprio begins, you understand the charges against you? Dennis nods. I do, Your Honor. His voice is deep, strong, the voice of someone used to giving orders. Then let's review what happened on the morning of September 14th, 2024. Ms. Delgado, can you tell the court what occurred? Rosa takes a breath. Her voice trembles. I was driving my school bus on Fairfield Avenue. It was 7:32 in the morning. I had 38 children on the bus. We were going to Washington Elementary. She pauses. Her hands grip the folder tighter. I was stopped at the red light at Fairfield and Oak Street. The light turned green. I checked both ways like I always do. Then I started driving through the intersection. Rosa's voice cracks. That's when I saw the truck. A big black pickup. It was coming from the left. Fast. Really fast. It didn't stop at the red light. It was going to hit us. People in the courtroom lean forward. You can hear them breathe. I tried to turn. I jerked the wheel to the right. The truck hit the back left side of the bus. The sound was so loud. Like an explosion. The bus spun. Kids were screaming. I held onto the wheel as hard as I could. Tears run down Rosa's face now. We stopped on the sidewalk. The front of the bus hit a fire hydrant. Water started spraying everywhere. I could hear the kids crying. Some were hurt. I ran to check on them. Blood was coming from one girl's nose. Another boy hit his head on the window. Judge Caprio's face is serious. He writes notes on a pad. What happened next, he asks. I got all the kids off the bus safely. I called 911. Then I went to check on the driver of the truck. I wanted to make sure he was okay. Rosa looks at Dennis now. For the first time, She stares right at him. The driver got out of the truck. It was him. Chief Caldwell. I recognized him from the news. From the police station. Dennis still shows no emotion. His jaw is set. His eyes are hard. He was walking fine. No injuries I could see. I said, "Sir, are you okay? We need to wait for the police." And you know what he said to me? The courtroom is silent. Rosa's voice gets stronger. He said, "I am the police. And you're going to forget this happened." Gasps fill the room. Someone whispers, "No way." Another person shakes their head. Judge Caprio holds up his hand. "Order, please." He looks at Dennis. "Mr. Caldwell, is this true?" Dennis straightens his back. "Your Honor, Ms. Delgado is mistaken about what I said." "Mistaken?" Judge Caprio raises an eyebrow. Arthur Brennan steps forward. "Your Honor, my client admits he was involved in the accident. However, the circumstances are not as Ms. Delgado describes. Chief Caldwell was responding to an emergency situation. He had received a call about a potential active shooter situation at the county courthouse. He was rushing to respond. Unfortunately, traffic lights were not functioning properly that morning due to a power outage in that area." Michelle Torres jumps up. "That's not true, Your Honor. We have evidence that the traffic lights were working perfectly. We have traffic camera footage. We have witness statements from 11 other people who were at that intersection." Judge Caprio nods. "We'll get to the evidence. Mr. Caldwell, please continue with your account of what happened." Dennis clears his throat. "After the accident, I assessed the situation. I saw that Ms. Delgado had the children under control. Emergency services were already being called. I had to respond to the active shooter call. So I left the scene to do my duty." A woman in the third row stands up. "That's a lie," she shouts. The bailiff moves toward her. "Ma'am, please sit down." "That's my daughter's bus," the woman says. Her face is red. "My daughter was on that bus. She had nightmares for 2 months." Judge Caprio speaks firmly, but kindly. "Ma'am, I understand your anger. But please let us proceed properly. You'll have a chance to speak." The woman sits, but her hands are clenched into fists. Judge Caprio turns back to Dennis. "Chief Caldwell, did you exchange insurance information with Ms. Delgado?" "There wasn't time, Your Honor." "Did you give her your contact information?" "No, sir." "Did you file an accident report?" Dennis pauses. Just for a second, but everyone notices. "Not immediately, no." "When did you file a report?" 3 days later." 3 days. Judge Caprio's voice sharpens. "Chief Caldwell, you're a law enforcement officer. You know the law requires accident reports within 24 hours. Arthur Brennan steps in again. "Your Honor, my client was dealing with the active shooter situation, which turned out to be a false alarm, but required extensive investigation. He filed the report as soon as possible." Michelle Torres stands. "Your Honor, may I present evidence?" "Please do." Michelle opens her briefcase. She pulls out a stack of papers. "Your Honor, this is the call log from Riverside County Dispatch on September 14th. There was no active shooter call. No emergency calls to the courthouse. Nothing." She hands copies to Judge Caprio and to Arthur Brennan. "In fact," Michelle continues, "dispatch records show that Chief Caldwell's personal cell phone made 3 calls that morning after the accident. The first call was to County Commissioner Robert Hastings at 7:39 a.m. The second call was to Mayor Patricia Vance at 7:44 a.m. The third call was to District Attorney Harold Morrison at 7:51 a.m. The courtroom buzzes with whispers. Judge Caprio studies the documents. "Mr. Caldwell," the judge says slowly, "can you explain these phone calls?" Dennis shifts his weight. For the first time, he looks uncomfortable. "I was informing relevant officials about the situation." The situation being the accident. "But you just told me you were rushing to an active shooter situation." Dennis's face reddens. "I misspoke, Your Honor. I meant I was calling about the accident and checking if there were any emergency situations I needed to be aware of." Judge Caprio removes his glasses. He rubs his eyes. When he speaks again, his voice is tired. Disappointed. "Mr. Caldwell, I've been on this bench for many years. I've heard a lot of stories, a lot of excuses, but I've never heard a police chief, someone sworn to uphold the law, stand in my courtroom and change his story like this." Dennis opens his mouth. Judge Caprio holds up his hand. "I'm not finished. Ms. Torres, please continue with your evidence." Michelle picks up a tablet. Your Honor, I'd like to show traffic camera footage from the intersection of Fairfield and Oak. A screen descends from the courtroom ceiling. The lights dim slightly. The video begins to play. The timestamp shows 7:31 and 54 seconds a.m. The screen shows the intersection from above. The traffic light is clearly visible. It's red for Fairfield Avenue. Cars are stopped. A yellow school bus waits at the light. You can see Rosa in the driver's seat. At 7 hours 32 minutes and 8 seconds, the light turns green. The bus begins to move forward slowly, carefully. Then, at 7 hours 32 minutes and 11 seconds, a black pickup truck comes flying into frame from the left. It doesn't even slow down. The red light means nothing to it. The truck slams into the back of the bus. The impact is violent. The bus spins. It jumps the curb. It hits the fire hydrant. Water explodes into the air. People in the courtroom gasp. One woman covers her mouth. The video continues. The truck stops in the middle of the intersection. The driver's door opens. A man gets out. Even from the traffic camera, you can see the police uniform. You can see the chief's stars on his collar. Dennis Caldwell stands next to his truck. He looks around. He pulls out his phone. He makes a call. His mouth moves. He's talking to someone. Then Rosa appears in the frame. She runs up to him. She's clearly upset. Her hands gesture to the bus, to the children climbing out. You can see Dennis shake his head. He points at Rosa. He points at himself. His body language is aggressive, dominant. Rosa steps back. She looks scared. Dennis gets back in his truck. He drives away. The timestamp shows 7:34 and 22 seconds a.m. Less than 3 minutes after the crash. He just leaves. The video ends. The lights come back up. The courtroom is completely silent. Nobody moves. Nobody speaks. Judge Caprio stares at Dennis. His eyes are hard, cold. Chief Caldwell, I just watched you run a red light at high speed. I watched you crash into a school bus full of children. I watched you intimidate the other driver. And I watched you flee the scene. Dennis's lawyer jumps in. Your Honor, the video doesn't show intimidation. My client was simply explaining. Mr. Brennan, I can see with my own eyes. Please don't insult my intelligence. Arthur Brennan closes his mouth. His face is pale. Judge Caprio looks at Michelle. Is there more? Yes, Your Honor. Much more. Michelle pulls out her phone. After the accident, Ms. Delgado tried to file a police report at the Riverside County Police Department. She went there at 2 p.m. that same day. She wanted to report what happened. She had photos of the damage. She had the names of witnesses. She had everything. And what happened when she tried to file the report? She was told that Chief Caldwell had already filed a report. She was told that the accident was her fault, that she ran the red light, that Chief Caldwell had dash camera footage proving it. Rosa speaks up now. Her voice is stronger. They treated me like a criminal. The desk sergeant, Officer Martinez, he told me I should be grateful the chief wasn't pressing charges against me. He said if I kept pushing this, I could lose my job. I could lose my license. I could even go to jail. Judge Caprio's hands gripped the edge of his bench. Officer Martinez said this to you? Yes, sir. And then he said something else. He said, Chief Caldwell takes care of his own, and he doesn't forget people who cause problems. Did you feel threatened? I was terrified, Your Honor. I have 3 kids. I'm a single mom. My bus driving job is all I have. I couldn't lose it, so I stayed quiet. What changed? Rosa looks down at her hands. My daughter Elena. She's 12 years old. She wasn't on the bus that day, but she knew what happened. She saw me come home crying. She saw the bills from the doctor. The school bus company tried to fire me because of the accident. They said it was my fault. I lost 2 months of work. Her voice breaks. Elena asked me, Mama, why aren't you fighting back? You always tell us to stand up for what's right. Why aren't you standing up? Tears streamed down Rosa's face. I didn't have a good answer, so I decided to fight. I found Ms. Torres. She agreed to take my case. And here we are. Judge Caprio nods slowly. Ms. Torres, you mentioned dash camera footage. Did Chief Caldwell ever produce this footage? No, Your Honor. We requested it through discovery. We were told the footage was lost due to a technical malfunction. How convenient, Judge Caprio says. His voice drips with sarcasm. Michelle continues. But we have something else. We have footage from a doorbell camera. The house at 447 Fairfield Avenue has a Ring camera pointed at the street. It captured the entire accident from a different angle. And it captured something else too. She plays another video on the screen. This one is from a doorbell. The angle is lower. You can see more detail. The accident happens again. The crash. The bus spinning. Dennis getting out of his truck. But this video has audio. You can hear Dennis talking. His voice is clear. "I am the police," he says to Rosa. "And you're going to forget this happened. If you report this, I will make sure you never work again. I will make sure you regret it. Do you understand me?" Rosa's voice, small and scared, but the children. "Do you understand me?" Dennis repeats, louder this time, threatening, "Yes, sir." "Good. Now get these kids out of here before more people show up." The video ends. The courtroom explodes. People are yelling. Someone is crying. The bailiff has to call for order 3 times. Judge Caprio slams his gavel. "Order. I will clear this courtroom if necessary." The noise dies down, but the anger remains. You can feel it in the air. Thick and hot. Judge Caprio turns to Dennis. His face is like stone. "Chief Caldwell, I have just watched and heard you commit multiple crimes. On video. With audio. And you come into my courtroom wearing that uniform. Wearing that badge. And you lie to my face." Dennis says nothing. His jaw is clenched so tight you can see the muscles working. "Do you have anything to say for yourself?" Arthur Brennan whispers something to Dennis. Dennis shakes his head. He steps forward. When he speaks, his voice is hard. Defiant. "Your Honor, with all due respect, you don't understand the pressures of my job. Every day, I make life and death decisions. I run an entire police department. I have 247 officers under my command. I deal with things that would break most people." He gestures at Rosa. "Yes, I made a mistake that morning. I was distracted. I was stressed. We had just gotten word of a potential threat. My mind was on keeping the county safe. The accident happened. Nobody died. The kids were fine." "The kids were not fine," Judge Caprio interrupts. 3 children had concussions. 1 girl broke her arm. Another boy needed stitches. I have the medical records right here." Dennis barely pauses. "Injuries happen. It's unfortunate, but in the grand scheme of things, it could have been worse. I made a judgment call to leave the scene because I had bigger responsibilities. Bigger duties." The courtroom is shocked into silence again. Did he really just say that? Judge Caprio leans forward. "You made a judgment call. To flee the scene of an accident. To threaten a witness. To use your position to cover up your crimes." "I didn't commit any crimes," Dennis says. His voice rises. "I was doing my job. And yes, maybe I used my authority to handle the situation differently than a normal citizen would. But that's what my badge gives me. That's what my rank gives me. The authority to make those calls." "Your badge doesn't put you above the law." Dennis laughs. It's a short, bitter sound. "Doesn't it? Your Honor, let's be honest. The law works differently for people like me. For police officers. For people in power. We see it every day. Cops get away with things that regular people don't. That's just how it is. That's how it's always been." Arthur Brennan is tugging on Dennis's sleeve, trying to shut him up, but Dennis pulls away. "I've been a cop for 31 years, Dennis continues. His face is red now. 31 years of putting my life on the line. Of seeing the worst humanity has to offer. Of cleaning up messes that people like her," he points at Rosa, "don't even know exist. I've earned the right to a little leeway. I've earned the right to be treated differently." Judge Caprio's voice is deadly calm. "You've earned the right." "Yes." Dennis stands tall. Proud. "I have earned it. With blood and sweat and sacrifice. So yes, I think cops should be above certain laws. Not all laws, but the little ones. The traffic laws. The ones that don't really matter." The courtroom is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. "And that woman," Dennis continues, pointing at Rosa again, "should have just kept her mouth shut. She should have been grateful I didn't arrest her. Instead, she comes here and wastes everyone's time with this nonsense." 10 full seconds pass. Nobody moves. Nobody breathes. Judge Caprio slowly removes his glasses. He folds them carefully. He sets them on his bench. When he looks up, his eyes are filled with something between rage and sadness. "Chief Dennis Caldwell," he says quietly, "in 30 years on this bench, I have never heard anything more disgraceful come out of a defendant's mouth." Dennis finally seems to realize he's gone too far. His face pales. Arthur Brennan's head is in his hands. You stand there in your uniform, covered in the symbols of justice, and you tell me that you are above the law. You tell me that your badge gives you the right to break laws, to threaten citizens, to use your power to crush someone who dares to stand up to you. Judge Caprio's voice gets louder, stronger. You want to know what that badge really means? What that uniform represents? It means you're held to a higher standard, not a lower one. It means people trust you with power that can destroy lives. It means children look up to you. It means you are supposed to be the example. He stands up now. He walks down from his bench. He approaches Dennis. The bailiff tenses, ready to intervene if needed. But the judge just stands there, looking up at the taller man. You crashed into a bus full of children, babies, someone's sons and daughters. And your first thought wasn't, are they okay? Your first thought was, how do I get away with this? You threatened a working mother, a woman who drives kids to school safely every single day, a woman who makes $32,000 a year and works 2 jobs to survive. Rosa is crying again. Several people in the gallery are crying too. You used your badge, your rank, your connections to try to destroy her. And when that didn't work, when she had the courage to stand up anyway, you come here and tell me that you have the right to do what you did. Judge Caprio shakes his head. Mr. Caldwell, let me tell you something. I grew up in Federal Hill. My father was a fruit peddler. He pushed a cart through the streets selling apples and oranges. We had nothing. But my father taught me something important. He said, Frankie, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, powerful or weak. What matters is how you treat people, especially people who can't fight back. He points at Rosa. That woman couldn't fight back. She had no power, no money, no connections. You knew that. You counted on that. You thought you could crush her, and nobody would care. Dennis's hands are shaking now. His eyes are wet. But she did fight back. Because she's braver than you, stronger than you, more honorable than you. She stood up when she had every reason to stay silent. She risked everything because her daughter was watching. Because she wanted to teach her children that right matters more than power. Judge Caprio walks back to his bench. He sits down. He puts his glasses back on. Now I'm going to teach you something, Mr. Caldwell. I'm going to teach you that in this courtroom, the only thing that matters is truth and justice. Not your badge. Not your friends in high places. Not your years of service. None of that matters when you stand before the law. He picks up his gavel. Dennis Caldwell, you are found guilty of reckless driving, leaving the scene of an accident, intimidation of a witness, attempted obstruction of justice, and contempt of court. And now we come to sentencing. Arthur Brennan stands. Your Honor, I'd like to request a recess to prepare a sentencing memo. Sit down, Mr. Brennan. I've heard enough. Arthur sits. Judge Caprio looks at the papers in front of him. Let's start with the fines. For reckless driving that resulted in injuries, you're fined $27,500. For leaving the scene of an accident, an additional $15,000. For intimidation of a witness, $50,000. And for obstruction of justice, $75,000. He looks up. That's a total of $167,500. And unlike Ms. Delgado, you can afford to pay it. Dennis's face is white, but he barely reacts. Money isn't what scares him. Your driver's license is suspended for 1 year. You will not be permitted to operate any vehicle, personal or professional. You will surrender your license immediately. Your Honor, Chief Caldwell needs to drive for his job, Arthur starts. His job. Judge Caprio's voice is sharp. Let's talk about his job. I am recommending to the County Board of Supervisors that Chief Caldwell be immediately suspended without pay pending a full investigation by the state police. I am also recommending that he be permanently stripped of his position as police chief. The courtroom gasps. Dennis staggers backward. The bailiff catches his arm. You are not fit to wear that badge, Judge Caprio says. You are not fit to lead men and women who risk their lives every day. You have disgraced that uniform. Dennis finds his voice. You can't do that. You're just a traffic court judge. You're right. I can't fire you, but I can make recommendations. And I guarantee that the board will listen. Because by tomorrow morning, this entire case will be public record. Every video, every piece of evidence, every word you said in this courtroom, the media will have access to all of it. Dennis realizes what this means. His career is over. His reputation is destroyed. Everything he built is gone. But Judge Caprio isn't finished. Now we come to community service. This is where you're going to learn what it means to serve people instead of ruling over them. He looks at his notes. You are sentenced to 400 hours of community service. And here's what you're going to do. Every Saturday and Sunday for the next 48 weeks, you will report to Washington Elementary School at 6 a.m. That's the school where Ms. Delgado drives her bus. Dennis closes his eyes. You will serve as a crossing guard. You will help children cross the street safely. You will wear a bright orange safety vest with community service written on the back. You will not wear your police uniform. You will not identify yourself as a police officer. You will simply be Dennis, the crossing guard. Someone in the gallery laughs. Then another person. Soon, scattered laughter fills the courtroom. But that's not all, Judge Caprio continues. On weekdays, after your crossing guard duty ends at 8:30 a.m., you will report to the Riverside County School Bus Depot. You will work as a bus cleaner and maintenance assistant. You will clean the buses. You will check the tires. You will make sure every bus is safe for children. He pauses, and your direct supervisor will be Rosa Delgado. The courtroom explodes. People are cheering, clapping. The bailiff doesn't even try to stop them. Rosa's mouth is open. She can't believe what she's hearing. Dennis looks like he might collapse. His lawyer is holding him up. Furthermore, Judge Caprio says when the noise dies down, you will write a personal apology letter to every single child who is on that bus. 38 letters. Handwritten. Not typed. Not dictated. You will write them yourself. And you will write an additional letter to each of their parents. That's 76 letters total. Your Honor, that's excessive, Arthur tries. I'm not done. You will also prepare a 30-minute presentation about abuse of power and police accountability. You will deliver this presentation to every police academy in the state. You will do this on your own time, at your own expense, and it will be recorded and made available to the public. Dennis is crying now, real tears running down his face. His hands cover his eyes. And finally, Judge Caprio says, his voice softer now, you will attend a victim impact panel once a month for the next year. You will sit and listen to people whose lives were destroyed by those who abuse power. And you will think about what you've done. He sets down his papers. But there's one more thing. Earlier, you showed contempt for this court. You stood here and mocked the law. You showed no remorse, no understanding of the harm you caused. For that, I am holding you in contempt of court. He looks at the bailiff. Officer, please take Mr. Caldwell into custody. The bailiff moves forward. He pulls handcuffs from his belt. Dennis's eyes go wide. Wait, what? No, you can't. I can and I am. You are sentenced to 45 days in the county jail for contempt of court. You will serve this sentence immediately. The bailiff gently turns Dennis around. He puts the handcuffs on his wrists. The metal clicks shut. Dennis Caldwell, police chief of Riverside County, stands in handcuffs in front of everyone. His badge is no longer shining. His uniform no longer commands respect. He's just another criminal now. Take him away, Judge Caprio says quietly. As the bailiff leads Dennis toward the side door, Dennis looks back at Rosa. For just a moment, their eyes meet. And in that moment, he sees something that breaks him completely. He sees forgiveness. Rosa isn't celebrating. She isn't gloating. She's just sad. Sad that it came to this. Sad that a man threw away his entire life because he thought he was special. Dennis breaks down. He's sobbing as the bailiff takes him through the door. His expensive lawyer follows, already making phone calls to arrange bail hearings. The courtroom is silent again. But this silence is different. It's satisfied. Complete. Judge Caprio looks at Rosa. Ms. Delgado, I want to say something to you. What you did took incredible courage. You stood up when you had every reason to stay quiet. You fought when fighting meant risking everything. You are an inspiration. To your children. To everyone in this room. To me. Rosa is crying. But she's smiling too. Thank you, Your Honor. I'm also ordering that your driving record be cleared completely. The school bus company will be notified that you are in no way at fault for this accident. And I'm ordering former Chief Caldwell to pay for all your medical expenses, lost wages, and damages. He will pay for repairs to the school bus. He will pay for counseling for any children who need it. And he will pay an additional $50,000 to you personally for the pain and suffering he caused. Rosa's hands go to her mouth. $50,000. That's more money than she's ever seen. That's enough to pay off her credit cards, to fix her car, to buy school clothes for her kids. to breathe a little easier. Ms. Torres, Judge Caprio says, turning to the young lawyer, excellent work. You presented this case with skill and integrity. Keep fighting for people like Ms. Delgado. We need more lawyers like you. Michelle Torres beams. This is why she went to law school. This moment right here. Judge Caprio stands. This court is adjourned. He bangs his gavel one final time. The sound echoes through the courtroom. The sound of justice being served. People rush to Rosa. They hug her. They congratulate her. The woman whose daughter was on the bus is crying and thanking her. You did this for all of us, she says. Rosa just keeps saying, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. But it's real. It happened. The powerful man who thought he was untouchable is now sitting in a jail cell. The working mother who thought she had no voice just won the biggest victory of her life. 60 days later, the courtroom doors open again. Dennis Caldwell walks in. He looks different. Very different. He's not wearing his police uniform. He can't. He doesn't have a badge anymore. The County Board of Supervisors fired him exactly 1 week after his conviction. The vote was unanimous. Today, Dennis wears jeans and a plain gray t-shirt. His hair, which was always perfectly groomed, is longer now. Messier. He's lost weight. His face looks older. Tired. He's here for his review hearing. Judge Caprio needs to check on his progress. Make sure he's following the terms of his sentence. Dennis approaches the bench. Rosa is here too. She sits in the front row. She insisted on coming. She wanted to see this. Mr. Caldwell, Judge Caprio says, you've served your jail time. How has your community service been going? Dennis takes a breath. It's been hard, Your Honor. Really hard. Tell me about it. The crossing guard work. At first, I hated it. I felt humiliated. I was wearing that orange vest, and people would drive by and recognize me. Some would honk and laugh. Some would yell things. One person threw a drink at me. He pauses. But after a few weeks, something changed. I started actually paying attention to the kids. There's this one boy, Marcus. He's 6 years old. Every morning, he gives me a high five. He doesn't know who I am. Doesn't know what I did. He just sees me as the crossing guard who keeps him safe. Dennis's voice cracks a little. And one day, Marcus's mom came up to me. She thanked me. She said her son talks about me at home. Says I'm his favorite part of the morning. And I realized this is the first time in years that someone thanked me for actually helping them. Not for being powerful. Not for being in charge. Just for being there. For doing something good. Judge Caprio nods. And the bus depot work. That's been harder in a different way. Ms. Delgado, she's professional. She doesn't yell at me or anything. But I have to look at her every day. I have to remember what I did. I have to see the results of my actions. He looks at Rosa now. I've been cleaning buses for 2 months. I've cleaned the same bus I crashed into. I've seen the repair marks. I've thought about those kids every single day. Have you completed the apology letters? Yes, Your Honor. All 76. I wrote every one by hand. Some took me hours because I didn't know what to say. How do you apologize for traumatizing children? For hurting people who never did anything to you? He pulls out a folder. I brought copies for the court. Every letter. Every envelope. Judge Caprio takes the folder. He opens it. He reads a few of the letters. They're good. They're genuine. They're painful to read because you can feel the regret in every word. I also started the Academy presentations, Dennis continues. I've done 3 so far. They're brutal. Standing up there in front of young officers who look at me like I'm a monster. Explaining how I threw away my entire career. My reputation. My life. Because I thought I was special. What do you tell them? I tell them the truth. I tell them that the badge isn't crown. It's a responsibility. A burden. And the moment you think you're above the people you serve, you've already lost. You've become exactly what you swore to fight against. Dennis's hands shake. I tell them about Rosa. About how she works 2 jobs. About how brave she was to stand up to me. About how I tried to crush her because I was scared. Scared that people would see I wasn't perfect. That I wasn't the hero I pretended to be. The courtroom is quiet. People are listening carefully. This isn't the same man who stood here 2 months ago. I've lost everything, Your Honor, Dennis says. His voice is barely a whisper. My job. My pension. My reputation. My friends. My house. I had to sell it to pay the fines. My wife left me. She couldn't handle the shame. Tears roll down his face. And I deserve all of it. Every bit of it. Because I was wrong. So completely wrong. Judge Caprio leans forward. Mr. Caldwell, do you understand now why you're here? Why I gave you this sentence? I do. You weren't trying to punish me. Well, not just punish me. You were trying to teach me. To remind me what it means to be a human being. To serve instead of rule. And have you learned that lesson? Dennis looks at Rosa again. I'm trying to. Every day. Every morning when I help kids cross the street. Every afternoon when I clean buses. Every night when I write in the journal you ordered me to keep. I'm trying to become someone better. He turns to Rosa. Ms. Delgado, I know you're here. I know you're listening. I need to say something to you. Rosa tenses, but she nods. Dennis walks closer to her. The bailiff watches carefully. But Dennis isn't a threat anymore. He's just a broken man trying to heal. I'm sorry, Dennis says. His voice shakes. I'm so sorry. I hurt you. I scared you. I tried to destroy your life because I was a coward. Because I couldn't face what I'd done. He's crying openly now. You didn't deserve any of it. You were innocent. You were just doing your job. Taking care of kids. And I crashed into you, and then made it your fault. I'm so sorry. Rosa stands up. She looks at him for a long moment. Everyone holds their breath. Then she speaks. Mr. Caldwell, I forgive you. Dennis nearly falls over. You what? I forgive you. I'm not saying what you did was okay. It wasn't. It was terrible. But I can see you're trying to change. I can see you're learning. And I believe in second chances. She steps closer. But let me tell you something. My daughter, Elena, she's watching you. All those kids you help cross the street every morning, they're watching you too. You have a choice now. You can become bitter and angry. Or you can use this experience to become someone who actually helps people. Rosa's voice is firm, strong. I hope you choose to help. Because the world needs more people who build up instead of tear down. More people who serve instead of dominate. Be that person, Mr. Caldwell. Dennis can't speak. He just nods. Over and over. Judge Caprio watches this exchange. His eyes are wet too. Mr. Caldwell, the judge says you have 340 hours of community service remaining. You will continue your crossing guard duties. You will continue working at the bus depot. You will complete your academy presentations. And you will attend the victim impact panels. Yes, Your Honor. But I'm also adding something. I want you to start mentoring troubled youth at the community center. 1 hour every Thursday evening. You're going to share your story with kids who are heading down the wrong path. You're going to show them what happens when you think rules don't apply to you. Dennis nods. I'd be honored to do that, Your Honor. Good. I'll see you back here in 90 days for another review. Don't disappoint me. I won't, sir. I promise. Judge Caprio bangs his gavel. Adjourned. Dennis turns to leave, but Rosa calls out to him. Mr. Caldwell. He turns back. On Monday, I need help fixing the wheelchair lift on bus 47. It's been sticking. Can you handle that? Dennis understands what she's really asking. She's giving him a real task, treating him like a real person, not a criminal, not a former chief. Just Dennis, the maintenance worker. Yes, ma'am, he says. I'll be there at 6 a.m. Rosa smiles. Good. And Dennis? Bring your toolbox. The good one. He smiles back. It's the first real smile he's had in months. I will. 6 months after that hearing, something happens at Washington Elementary School. It's a Tuesday morning. Dennis is at his crossing guard post. His orange vest is bright in the early sun. He's helping kids cross Fairfield Avenue. A car approaches the intersection. It's going fast. Too fast. The light turns red. The car doesn't slow down. Dennis sees it immediately. He sees the speed. The direction. He sees disaster coming. There are 3 children in the crosswalk. Marcus and 2 girls. They're halfway across the street. Laughing about something. Not paying attention. Dennis doesn't think. He just moves. He runs into the crosswalk. He grabs Marcus with one arm and one of the girls with the other. Run, he yells to the 3rd girl. She sprints. The car is 10 feet away. 5 feet. Dennis can see the driver's face. Phone in hand. Not looking up. Dennis shoves the children forward. They tumble onto the sidewalk. Safe. But Dennis is still in the street. The car hits him. Not full speed. The driver finally looked up and hit the brakes. But hard enough. Dennis flies backward. He lands on the pavement. Hard. People start screaming. Someone calls 911. Parents rush over. Dennis lies on the ground. His ribs hurt. His leg is twisted wrong. But he's looking at the kids, making sure they're okay. Marcus runs to him. Mr. Dennis. Mr. Dennis, are you okay? Dennis coughs. Winces. I'm fine, buddy. You okay? You saved me. Marcus is crying. You saved us. The ambulance arrives. Paramedics load Dennis onto a stretcher. As they lift him into the ambulance, he sees Rosa running toward him. She'd heard what happened on her radio. Dennis, she calls out. Dennis, hang on. I'm okay, he says. The kids are safe. That's what matters. Rosa climbs into the ambulance with him. She holds his hand. You're an idiot, she says. But she's smiling through tears. A brave idiot. I had to, Dennis whispers. I had to protect them. That's the job. The story makes the news. Local stations cover it. Former police chief saves children. The headlines write themselves. But the best part happens 3 days later in the hospital. Dennis is recovering. Broken ribs. Fractured leg. But he'll be fine. Judge Caprio visits him. He walks into the hospital room carrying flowers. Mr. Caldwell, you're quite the hero. Dennis shakes his head. I'm no hero, Your Honor. I just did what I was supposed to do. That's exactly what makes you a hero, Judge Caprio says. He sits in the chair next to the bed. You put those children's safety above your own. Without hesitation. That's who you've become. I've been thinking a lot, Dennis says. About that day in court, when I said cops were above the law, when I said I deserved special treatment. And I was so wrong. The badge doesn't make you special. The badge is a tool. What matters is what you do with it. How you treat people, whether you help or hurt. Judge Caprio nods. You've learned the most important lesson anyone can learn. That we're all equal. We all bleed the same. We all matter the same. A police chief isn't worth more than a bus driver. A judge isn't worth more than a janitor. We're all just people trying to do our best. I wasted so many years thinking I was better than everyone else, Dennis says. I missed the whole point of being a cop. It's not about power. It's about service. What will you do now, after you heal? Dennis looks out the window. I don't know. I can't be a cop again. But maybe that's okay. Maybe I can find other ways to help. The community center asked if I'd run their youth mentoring program full-time. It doesn't pay much, but it feels right. That sounds perfect. And I want to keep being a crossing guard, even after my community service is done. Those kids need someone watching out for them. I want to be that person. Judge Caprio smiles. He stands up. He puts his hand on Dennis's shoulder. Mr. Caldwell, when you first came to my courtroom, I saw a man who had lost his way. A man who had forgotten why he put on that badge in the first place. Today, I see something different. I see a man who found himself again. Not as a chief. Not as someone important. Just as Dennis. A good man who helps kids cross the street. Thank you, Your Honor. For everything. For not giving up on me. For teaching me. We all need teaching sometimes. We all need reminding that we're not special. That we're part of something bigger. A community. A society. And we all have a responsibility to take care of each other. Judge Caprio heads to the door. He pauses. Oh, and Dennis? Rosa tells me you're excellent at fixing wheelchair lifts. The court building has an elevator that keeps breaking. When you're healed, we might need your help. Dennis laughs. It hurts his ribs, but he doesn't care. I'd be happy to help, Your Honor. Today, if you drive down Fairfield Avenue at 7:30 in the morning, you'll see a man in an orange vest. His name is Dennis. He helps kids cross the street. He knows every child's name. He gives high fives and fist bumps. He makes sure everyone is safe. Some people remember who he used to be. The powerful police chief who thought he was above the law. But most people just know him as Dennis, the crossing guard. The guy who saved those kids. The guy who's always smiling. Always helpful. At the school bus depot, Dennis works alongside Rosa. They're not friends exactly, but they respect each other. She supervises his work. He does what she asks. They've found a way to exist together. A way to move forward. Dennis lives in a small apartment now. 1 bedroom. Modest. Nothing like the big house he used to own. But it's enough. He doesn't need much. Every Thursday evening, he's at the community center. 20 kids gather around. Kids from tough backgrounds. Kids in trouble. Kids who think the world owes them something. Dennis tells them his story. Every detail, every mistake, every consequence. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He doesn't make excuses. I thought I was special, he tells them. I thought my badge made me better than other people. I was wrong. So completely wrong. And it cost me everything. The kids listen, because Dennis doesn't preach. He just shares. He shows them what happens when you think you're above the rules. The hardest thing I ever learned, Dennis says, is that I'm not special. I'm just a guy. I make mistakes. I hurt people. And when I do, I have to face the consequences. We all do. One boy raises his hand. His name is Travis. He's 15. He's been in trouble with the law 3 times. But Mr. Dennis, what if you really are better than other people? What if you're smarter or stronger or richer? Dennis shakes his head. Then you have a bigger responsibility, not a bigger right. If you're stronger, you should protect the weak. If you're smarter, you should teach. If you're richer, you should help those who have less. That's what real strength is. Using what you have to lift others up. Travis thinks about this. Is that what you're doing now? Lifting people up? I'm trying to. Every day. It's not always easy. But it's right. And that's what matters. In his chambers, Judge Frank Caprio sits alone. He reviews the Dennis Caldwell file. It's thick now. Full of reports. Progress updates. Letters from a community. The letter on top is from Marcus's mother. Thank you, it says, for giving Mr. Dennis a second chance. Thank you for teaching him instead of just punishing him. He saved my son's life. He's a good man now. Maybe he always was underneath. But you helped him find that goodness again. Judge Caprio puts the letter down. He thinks about justice. Real justice. Not just punishment. Not just revenge. But transformation. Redemption. The chance to become better. He thinks about Dennis, who came into his courtroom arrogant and cruel. Who thought his badge made him untouchable. Who learned the hardest way possible that we're all equal under the law. But he also thinks about Rosa. About her courage. Her strength. Her grace. She could have stayed silent. She could have accepted the injustice. But she didn't. She fought. And in fighting, she didn't just save herself. She saved those 38 children. She saved her community. She even saved Dennis from himself. Judge Caprio writes a note in the case file. Case closed. Sentence completed successfully. Defendant has shown genuine remorse and significant personal growth. Recommend full restoration of rights upon completion of mentoring commitment. He closes the file. He stands up. He walks to the window. Outside, Providence bustles with life. People going to work. Kids walking to school. Regular people living regular lives. And somewhere out there, at an intersection on Fairfield Avenue, a man in an orange vest helps children cross the street. He protects them. He cares for them. He does his job with pride and purpose. That man used to think he was above the law. Now he understands that the law, real law, true justice, is about something bigger than rules and punishments. It's about equality, about dignity, about the idea that we're all in this together, that we all matter, that nobody, not a police chief or a bus driver or a judge or a child, is worth more or less than anyone else. We're all just people, trying to do better, trying to be better. And sometimes with the right teaching, the right consequences, and the right second chance, even someone who's lost their way can find themselves again. Money can buy many things. Power can open many doors. A badge can command respect. But in Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, none of that matters. The only things that matter are truth, justice, and the belief that everyone, absolutely everyone, is equal under the law. Even police chiefs. Especially police chiefs. Because if those who enforce the law think they're above it, then the law means nothing. It becomes a tool of oppression instead of protection. It becomes a weapon instead of a shield. But when those who have power understand that power is a responsibility, not a right, when they use their strength to serve instead of dominate, when they recognize that the badge doesn't make them special, it makes them accountable, that's when real justice happens. That's when communities heal. That's when we become the society we're supposed to be. Fair, equal, just, for everyone.